Alright, I'm back on Windows. I've just been trying to fix a crash on exit that only happening on Mac OS, and I'm happy to no longer be on Mac OS anymore. So in the meantime, one of my testers figured out that if you create a macro, like this, then if you place the macro at this like invisible 0 point of the workspace, then it's fine. But if it's anywhere else, then it's sort of the audio is offset from where it is visually, basically by however much offset it is from this invisible. This is like it's basically, I mean, in the code base I call it the 0 point, which is like the workspace doesn't really have a start because you can just put things wherever you want. So these are like this is basically position 0, but you can put things at like negative positions in the workspace. So you're not really supposed to be aware of this 0 point. It's just sort of and if you press Z, that's where the playback goes back to if you don't have any start configured. But yeah, however much offset it is from that point is basically where it will start playing from this edge for some reason. So I don't know what's going on there. I mean, I at least understand the effect of the bug, but I don't understand why. So first of all, could delete this one just so I just have one. So this sample block should have what I call an absolute position calculated, which is basically the offset from the left edge of the sampler of the offset from the left edge of the macro, which is the relative position, added onto the macro itself's relative position in whatever context the macro is in, which in this case is the top of the top workspace. So it's the offset from the 0 point. So it's this plus this. So in this case, this relative position is 0. So it should be 0 plus whatever this offset is. So let's see if that is actually the case. When I get to here, go down to here. I also need to turn baking off. So, interestingly, let me think a second. What's happening here? What's going on here? So this breakpoint is not hitting inside this block, but it hits eventually. Okay. Let's just try to understand. This here. So if I start playing back here, which is just to the left of the macro edge, this is negative So this is negative relative to the macro workspace. So this makes sense. Okay, I changed my mind about what's happening. So, right, at this level it's working correctly, but it's when you drill into the macro that it's not working. So, if I do this, it's working correctly. So when I was talking about this offset plus this offset, that is being calculated correctly. But when I go into the macro workspace, we actually shouldn't be doing that kind of calculation. We should just be like this sample block instance should just, the absolute position should just be 0 at this point. So it looks like it is taking into account the offset of the containing macro when it shouldn't be, actually. So, because we essentially have two, by the time we get to the audio engine, we have two sample blocks here. Basically, we have the one that exists here at this level, and the one that exists here inside the macro. They're actually separate entities. So this one is working correctly, but this one inside the macro is not. So let's try to understand. Let's have a look here. Somewhere in here we generate the left and right edges of these blocks. Or at this point they're called cores. There's no such thing as a block instance at this point. So let's see. 878, hold on. What is this? This is 878. Okay, this is the one I care about. So let's see what's happening. This looks correct. This is calculating 0, which is correct. Okay. So that is right. But when, hold on. Oops. Oh, sorry, that's just the edge data. That's not the... No, this is correct, yeah. Range abs. Right. Okay. That much is correct. I don't know at what point this bug was introduced. Let me just check. I'm a little bit suspicious now. Maybe it just exists in this build, but nobody noticed. It does. Oh, okay. This is an existing bug in the current Patreon build. It shows how often people use macros, I suppose. I think it's still considered a little bit of an advanced feature that people don't really use. I think people are still mainly using Blockhead just for messing around, creating sound effects and things like that. So, so macro audio playback within macro blocks is offset. It doesn't really, it's not very good at description, but whatever. Okay, so let's see. First of all, let me just, oh yeah, I already checked this. This is going to be, this looks correct. Go in here. So get cores to process. Processing range. Ah, what is that? Processing range. What is that? Processing range. That's not dealt with in here. It must be in here. Processing range. Outer edges. Okay. Let's have a look at this. So we have one core. Processing range starts here, which is wrong. So this must be the wrong lane. Oh, 897. 897. Hold on. That's not the right. I don't know what is happening here, actually. This is odd. What workspace is this? Workspace render 894. That sounds right. Track 895. Lane 896. Cool. What is happening? This is weird. Core 897, but it's not 897. It's 8, if you look down here, it's 878. .897 would be essentially the core that is represented by this block here. That's 897. Already 897, yeah. So it's rendering. Let's go up. Up. Lane. Lane 896. What's going on? 896. And this one also 896. Something fucky is happening. No, this doesn't make sense at all. Why is this? What? I'm so confused. I have a feeling I've done something really stupid somewhere. 894. Current workspace is 894. Wait. If we go up to here and then render, the workspace is 3. Yep, that makes sense. This fellow it. Let's see what happens here. So we should find a macro and go into the macro. So this is track ID 830. Okay. 831. This should find a macro. So it's core 893. This is not the sampler, this is the macro, surely. Yes. Right. So the macro is 893. Okay. And then I need to write these numbers down. The inner macro is 894. 894. 894. Let's remember 894. Let's go here. 894, exactly. No, that's not exactly. This is wrong. Ah, okay, we got the wrong workspace here. Okay, I understand. Where's my backtrace? We're rendering the wrong workspace. So I try to explain what's happening, but it's going to be difficult because the way that macros work is very complicated. You might think, why is it so complicated? But you have to remember that you can have nested macros, and then you can have clones of macros, which is those are the things that really complicate things. But in this situation, we have a really simple. This is a really simple situation, but so when we play back, when the playhead traverses over the top of this macro block, what's happening is we have generated a sort of invisible macro workspace here, with an invisible sampler block inside the workspace on an invisible track on an invisible lane, and the sampler block is sort of visually represented by this block here, obviously. But this block that's visually represented here is not the same as this block. When we open this macro and go into this workspace, this is a completely different workspace from the one that's sort of being visually represented here, and the one that's traversed over when we play back at this level. So playing back the macro at this level is not, we're not doing the same thing as playing back the macro at this level. This is a completely separate workspace to the workspace that's being played back when we play the macro at this level. So there's 3 workspaces in total at play at the moment in this very simple case. We have this workspace here at the top of the project, and then we have this workspace that only exists inside this macro, and then we have this sort of virtual workspace which was created, which sort of, every time I make an edit to this actual workspace, this virtual workspace is sort of updated to follow the edit that I made. That's a very simple description of what's going on. So the bug is, as I've found, is when I open this macro up and try to play back this workspace, it's not playing back this workspace, it's actually playing back this virtual workspace. which only exists at the level of that, the macro hierarchy level above here. If we go one level up, there's this virtual workspace, and it's playing back this virtual workspace rather than this actual like editable workspace that exists here. So it's applying the like data offset logic of this virtual workspace instead of just, okay. I think if you still don't understand, then I think that's reasonable because I'm so terrible at talking and explaining things, and also it's just a complicated thing. So essentially, we're passing in the wrong workspace ID here. 894 is incorrect. It should be something else. I don't know what it should be. Make workspace render. Let's have a look. I think I did change this stuff actually. A couple of builds back. What is this doing? Yeah, I did change this a couple of builds back. That's why there's a bug in it. Current render state, workspace ID. Right. Somewhere we have, if I go to engine, I can't remember what it's called. It's like a transition processor or something. Transition model. Is this what I'm looking for? No, maybe not. Begin transition. No, I'm lost. Current render state. Current. Can we search for that? Current render state. Make initial render state. Workspace. Get current workspace. Current workspace. Yeah. Yeah. Right. How did I manage to break this? I'm not sure. I can see why this is wrong. Trying to understand how this ever worked. How did this ever work? I don't understand. I don't understand. This is fine, but... Oh, okay. I'm not setting current workspace. Okay, properly. Where is that set? I understand. Somewhere I'm going to have current workspace equals here. Set current workspace. Set current workspace. I must have changed this at some point. This makes sense, this makes sense. This. I must have changed this line of or this function at some point. But I can see why it's wrong. This should be current workspace leader. I have to do an ID cast. Or I just go T virtual workspace ID. No. Okay, I know I'm not explaining anything, but I think that should fix it. I don't know at what point that broke. If it was... I must have updated this function at some point. But yeah, I can see why it was wrong. Let me just have another look. This doesn't do anything interesting. But that should fix it anyway. Let's see. Let's put it over here. There we go. Okay, that was a stupid bug. Okay, I think that's my last bug. I fixed the macOS crash. The hell just happened? Okay. Fix macro audio offset bug. Oh, I need to pull... Don't do that. What was this? Oh yeah. Yeah. So let's go back to here. In here, macros are not played back correctly when inside, when I'm so bad at words. Macros are not played back. When the top of the macro that'll do. Nobody reads these anyway. Okay.